What's up YouTube, James here, and welcome to my beginner's guide for Anno 1800. Although I say it's a beginner's guide, there will definitely be some stuff for people who are veterans to the series, and I hope that it's useful for everyone. The goal of Anno 1800 is to start a company/empire from modest beginnings, and progress through population tiers from farmers all the way to investors and even scholars, with the Land of Lions DLC. You accomplish this progression through the fulfillment of your people's needs, and this is done through your own means of production and trade. However, there are other competitors in the form of AI who are competing with you for resources and strategic islands. You can compete with these AI in the form of military or finance, whether that be by using ships to destroy their harbors or buying shares of their islands to initiate a financial takeover. Either way, you will find out how to do these things here in this guide. Let's start by talking about the settings and how they will affect your gameplay. And here we are at the Sandbox setting page. Here you will see the 3 preset difficulties, each star meaning a higher difficulty, and thus a more difficult experience. The only thing that's happening here is you are getting less starting resources and less of a handicap on your journey, as well as facing more difficult AI. The custom settings here are for people who have probably played the campaign before, and who would like to customize their experience just a bit more. Just a hint, if you want a good challenge, I would recommend going up against Margaret Hunt and Admiral Vicente Silva, as they expand and build a navy quite early. Now, let's talk about the start of the game. Alright, so here we are on our first island, and as you can see, we already have a trade post built, but we have a ship here with just enough resources to go ahead and claim another island for ourselves. So I'm going to click on my ship and tell it to move up to an island. Let me speed that up a little bit. But there are a few things that make an island ideal for settlement, and as you're looking around, you're definitely going to want to look at the fertilities. And when you do, you'll notice, especially this first island here, I have potatoes, grain, and hops, and that's like actually perfect for the starting needs, because the starting needs for farmers are schnapps, fish, and well, schnapps is a happiness good that makes more people come into your buildings. So you're going to want to really have potatoes. Grain you need for some essential stuff like bread and beer, and hops gives you beer as well. And beer really shoots your income up. It really helps your citizens pay the most amount of taxes and gives them the most amount of happiness. That's something that's really important. So fertilities really play a huge role in what you're doing. So the fertilities are important. The position relative to the other AI, like the neutral traders, is really important. And then also the positioning on the map in general is important as well. I'll get into that in just a second, but first I wanted to tell you how to build a trade post. So you just take your beginning ship here and you move up to the coastline, and you'll see that there's a sort of, I guess, ghost blueprint here. And you just click on that blueprint and you'll see it costs 2,500, 10 timber, 8 steel beams, and that's it. And you just click build trading post, and then this island becomes yours. And you can do whatever you want with it, you know, build on it, let it sit for a while, whatever, and the AI won't mess with you. So that's how you do it. And later on, acquiring new islands becomes a little bit more tough because the AI take them really quickly, especially level 3 AI. But if you can, I would really recommend that you take islands in the southwest or just the south in general, because those islands are the closest to the New World, and the New World trade is essential to progress later on, because you really need the coffee, you need the cotton, the oil, everything. Like there's like 5 or 6 plus goods that you need from the New World that is essential to progress through engineers and up to investors. So it's really important to secure that trade, and later on the AI will attack your trade routes, and it's just so much easier if you're close to the New World. And then also, I wanted to mention that acquiring new islands also gives you some influence. So you can use that to spend on turrets and things later on, but it really is kind of a minimal amount compared to how much you get from the population. And here's the influence menu here. I'll get into it a little more later, but influence really does affect the way you play. Not in as big a way as you'd think, but it really can buff your income and stuff here and there. But acquiring islands early on, I guess, is a good way to get influence. But let's talk a little bit about fertilities and resources and how that can affect your game, and just to explain it a little more to newer players. With that being said, fertilities and resources are different. Fertility is the island's ability to support harvesting of certain organic materials like potatoes, grain, hops, I mean, I guess even furs count as organic materials. So resources is a little different in the way that they have specific deposit areas where they need to be gathered from, such as clay. We have oil here. We have iron, coal, all that stuff has buildings that can be built on top of them to harvest. The fertilities can be manipulated a little bit by equipping seed items in trade unions to give fertility in a small area around the trade union where that crop can be grown. A great beginning island, in my opinion, would have potatoes, wheat, hops, and peppers. That would give you a very, very solid base to satisfy the basic needs of your people as well as happiness all the way through beer. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about resources, fertilities, and how to choose your starting island, so let's say for a second that you've chosen your island. It's a dream, you know, it's ideal, it's everything that you want it to be. Now you're gonna have to figure out how to build your base and, you know, kind of what's optimal and things like that. So I'll kind of show you what I do, and hopefully you can kind of learn from that. So I'll give you a little tutorial on just kind of what I do, and it's never proven me wrong. So what I do is I turn on blueprint mode down here in the lower right, just to make sure that I place buildings, you know, before it actually takes the resources and everything, before it actually builds them, I can see the ghost print of it. So what I do here, I take the marketplace, and as you can see, there's a radius around it. There's like these lines that come off the sides, and that kind of shows like the radius in which it provides like a service to. So you click that somewhere, preferably in like the middle of kind of a larger area, and you just place that blueprint down. And you take the road coming from your harbor, because no buildings actually run unless they're connected to a road that's connected to your harbor. It can be a little confusing, but you can read more about it on the wiki, which I'll probably refer to a lot in this video, and I'll put that in the description below. So what I do is I build the blueprint of the market, and then I build a road around it. Now you don't have to do this. You can build it just on, you know, just on one side, whatever you want. I usually build all the way around. And then what I do after that is I take some farmers' residences, and you just put them, you click that button down here in the little building tray, and you go up here and you just kind of, you can click and drag to kind of build as many as you want. Like I'm clicking and dragging to do like a, I don't know, we'll do a 2x3 here. And then, so you can see here that if you click on the market, it shows you like the service that it provides and the length of it, but it shows it in blue because it's not quite, it's not built yet. So these houses will require that market, as you'll see in a second. So let's click the upgrade tool here, and then we're going to click on the actual market. So we'll upgrade that. It costs a 10 wood and $500. So we got that going, and let's just click and then drag around these houses with the upgrade tool, and it does all those houses at once. So as you can see here, you can click on the market, and now the roads are green, and that means that it is live, providing a source of needs to your people. So if you click here on the building of the farmers, you'll see here that the market is a basic need, and the supply is stable, perfect, 100%, and the supply affects the farmers plus 5 out of 5. So I'm getting the full amount of value tax-wise out of these farmers because of this need. So the market here, it's not available to have fish and work clothes yet because I haven't progressed enough through the population tier to be able to provide those needs yet. So how about I just build a few more houses here, and just kind of show you how I would do it. And this right here, this is a very simplistic grid sort of build, and this is kind of what I would do, but it's not necessary completely. You can build these in really any way you want. So one thing that you'll really want to do, in my opinion, this is like probably the most important thing starting an island. So you're going to want to build lumberjack huts and sawmills, because timber up here, this resource, is extremely, extremely vital. You will use this all the way through artisans, and it gets less and less common in engineers, but you use timber for sewing machines, you know, and use it in the new world for ROM, everything like that. So timber is just a baseline building material, and you can click here on the top, these little magnifying glasses, and put whatever resource in that you want. So for now, I'll just click that. But so you're going to want to click on the lumberjack hut, and you can click on it here, and you see the area of effect around here. Now this right here is the area in which it'll harvest from, and if you encroach on this area, the productivity of it will actually go down. So what I try to do is avoid that. So I'll click on this one here, and build another lumberjack hut that's kind of out of the range there. And if you look at the timestamp on that little unit frame there, it says 3:30, and that's how long it's going to take before it starts harvesting, because it's got to plant the trees and stuff like that. So then you'll take the another lumberjack hut here, but see, we have a little bit of space between these here, and that's where I like to put my warehouse. So I'll put the warehouse there. I'll put another lumberjack hut right here, because it's, you know, it's not encroaching on the other one really at all. So then I'll build another one right here, and I like to do 4. I think that's just perfect. It's ideal for my purposes, and it's ideal for expanding quickly. If you're looking to expand not so quickly, you're just, you know, kind of doing it chill, you can just go ahead and, I don't know, maybe 2 is optimal, you know, for that sort of play. But what I like to do is build it. You got to connect it to, you know, a harbor, of course. And then all these have to connect. Okay, so there we go. We've got all these going. So once these are built, you're gonna have a lumberjack hut. You know, it's coming in like crazy. Seed planting in progress. But this will bring in timber like crazy. And if you hover over this here, it'll say the cultivation area is 100%. And that, in my opinion, I believe that means maximum productivity. So we achieve the new status of village. So once this is going, you can place your sawmills really anywhere as long as they're next to a warehouse, and they will pull the resources that these lumberjacks are providing. So they're dropping off logs here. I could build a warehouse all the way over here as long as it's connected to a road, and then build sawmills next to this warehouse, and they would pull the logs from that and build them. So they don't need to transport directly to it. So what I could do here is just, you know, just for example, I could build these sawmills right here next to the dock. I could build them just like that, and they will go to this, they'll go to wherever the supply is, and they'll start building those the timber. What I wanted to also show you is that, you know, just as an example, now that we kind of moved up into the age of, you know, whatever, we're a quaint village now, we have these needs unlocked. And if you go to any storage place and you click on statistics here, you can go to, so you've got a whole screen here that says production, storage, finance, population, items. You can do a lot of stuff with this page. In my opinion, this is what all the advanced players really use to make sure things are going smoothly. I'll say that. If you click on consumer goods, these are the goods that your villagers absolutely need for both happiness and just general living. If they don't have their basic goods, like they'll just abandon their houses. So if I deleted this marketplace right now, these houses would actually become abandoned and turn into ruins, and that's something that you really, really want to avoid. So let's go back to the production screen here. And as you can see, we have work clothes, we have schnapps and fish. And fish and work clothes are the basic needs. And if you mouse over them, you can see what the needs are. So schnapps is a luxury need. Well, and one could argue, you know, with the farmers that it's an essential need because they drink so much of it. And then you go to construction materials, raw materials, agricultural products, intermediate products, storage. You can check all that here. Finance. You can check the finance of all of your islands at once. You just click on all islands. It'll show you the income and everything. And same with items, population. This really is the key to managing your empire successfully, this screen here. So yeah, that's how that is built. And you'll see, and one thing also I wanted to mention, I don't have it here, but once you build brick roads, it'll actually extend. So actually, let's just show you this right here. So let's build this road all the way out. And as you can see here, the green gets a little bit weaker as it goes further out, and that's because the farther you go out, the less amount of service is provided by these buildings, so you kind of have to place them intermittently here and there. But what you can do is place brick roads, and in my opinion, that's like one of the most important things early game, is to really collect those bricks, because laying bricks, you need bricks for a lot of buildings, first of all. Second of all, brick roads extend the range and of all of your buildings and make it so that you just have to build less. And in my opinion, that is a huge deal. What I like to do is, you know, as far as your village planning goes, is make sure there's some space here next to your market, because as you'll see here, let's make some more houses. But as you see here, we do have some things that are needed, like the pub. You know, you need a fire station, you need a police station, eventually you need a university, you need a power station, all these things. And it's just super, super important. All right, so new buildings unlocked. As you see here, we can have a pub. We can put that there. And once we build it, you can click on the other tab that says happiness, and you'll see that that the farmers are just obsessed with alcohol. They need their schnapps, they need their pub, fulfill those basic needs. And what I'm going to do here is just kind of I guess let's speed this up a little bit. Let's get the timber really flowing. Just kind of showing you how the beginning stages of this whole thing starts. But I do like to plan for some open spaces next to the market, enough for the pub. You know, the fire department, at least that'll get you going for the basics, because fires really do happen, especially in expert mode, quite often. So when you get electricity, you'll probably have to delete a few houses to make room for the power plant. But once you have your market and houses set up, you'll have to determine the needs, like I said before, through the production screen. And once that is done, you're really rolling. You know, from there you can kind of figure it out. You can go to the wiki, figure out the best production chains, you know. And for timber here, you know, if you mouse over it, it takes 15 seconds for a wood, 15 seconds for timber. Therefore, the ratio is 1-to-1. So on the island, I can just do a 1-to-1 ratio, and it'll produce pretty evenly. So that's just another good thing to remember. We're providing all the needs here pretty steadily. And I won't go too much more in depth into this because it's a beginner video. I'm just kind of showing you what I do, and I hope it really helps you. But let's go back to normal speed here. So with that, I'm going to continue on to the next part of my guide. But if you need any more instruction kind of on beginning game, or just kind of want to see how someone does it, feel free to watch my Let's Plays. I'll have those down in the description. And with that, let's move on to the next section. All right, so now that we've kind of gone over how to start up your base and how to just kind of get going in this game, we're going to go ahead and look at one of my later cities, one of my cities that has a few investors, a few engineers, and, you know, just there's not a whole lot to it, but it serves the purpose for now. So you can see here that I've built like all my services right in the middle, so all the population around it just has more access. And that's how I like to play. It really does provide the most value for me. And as you can see here, I have all brick roads, so you can really see the service of everything. It's just really extended. Like if you see this power plant here, the service goes all the way up to the this other side. Like this is like a whole screen over, even more than that. So the brick roads are a huge deal. So moving into that will be the population tiers, because I mean you can see the different buildings here, but the population tiers, they're farmers, workers, artisans, engineers, investors, and then finally scholars, if you have the Land Alliance DLC like I mentioned before. But to move up to those tiers, you have to fulfill these needs. And if I look at investors here, you know, their needs are, you know, a bunch of stuff you're unfamiliar with, I'm sure, unless you've played this before, but they're, you know, glasses, coffee, light bulbs, electricity, champagne. These are all the basic needs. But if you go to the happiness, you'll see that they're all luxury goods. You know, they're pocket watches and the bank and penny farthings, all that stuff. Those are luxury needs. So fulfilling the basic needs is how you move up in tiers. So it's very important. But you know, if you're having money problems, then you're going to want to make sure that the luxury needs are fulfilled. That will absolutely skyrocket your income, especially, I mean, this is especially noticeable once you hit artisan tier and you start bringing rum into your world, and, you know, your artisans start drinking rum. Oh my goodness, your income just skyrockets. That's a really fun part of the game, because you're starting to get frigates and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, that's the core of Anno 1800 finance, is that the more citizens that you have that are happy, the more money you make. And if you really pay attention to how much surplus you're making, how many production buildings you have, and how much you need or don't need, you can really start to unpeel the onion and find out why you're losing money. So once you have that kind of core principle down, and you know, just kind of understanding how you progress through tiers, that directly ties in to the Navy that you can make. The only combat in Anno 1800 is naval combat. So with that being said, once you get to about artisans, once you start making your first artisans, you have access to frigates. But it starts out with schooners, just a small little trade ship, really. Then gunboats. Gunboats are interesting because they fire out the front. They're really low health. They're pretty quick. You know, not too big of a deal though. They're really not a whole lot to them. Frigates, you get access to those, like I said before, once you get artisans. And same with clippers. But frigates are like basically a smaller ship of the line. But right towards the end of artisans, you get access to ships of the line, and they're really, really strong. You can win the game with those. They're thick boys. They're heavy. They're very slow, but they get the job done. And then my favorite part of the game is when you start making the steam ships like battle cruisers, and I happen to have a few here if you want to check them out. They're pretty cool looking, I must say so myself. And I used to serve in the Navy, and I think it's a pretty cool thing. This is probably my favorite part of the game here. This kind of leads me into how you take over islands, and having a navy is a really fun way to take over islands. But if you don't really feel like kind of getting into combat, you can just buy shares. And to do that, you just mouse over an enemy island. You just kind of look at it, and you click top at the shares overview, and you'll see like a pie-shaped thing here in the middle. And you just click on one of them. It asks you if you would like to acquire the share, and you just click yes. And then it provides some share income. And yeah, there it is. I'm getting plus 3,900 out of it. So that's a pretty good way to do it. So here I just kind of I just wanted to talk to you about some later principles of the game, and I hope it did help, because I did kind of a little bit of a jump. I jumped, from beginning base building to kind of later, some combat, some population tier stuff, just to give you that kind of knowledge base that you need. And I'll put the wiki in the description, but again, the wiki gives you really in-depth nitty-gritty details on it. I just wanted to kind of glaze over a few things here, just to kind of give you a general idea. So with that being said, let's jump right into trade and how to complement your goods from one island to another, because let's be honest, your first island isn't going to have everything that you need. So with that, let's talk about trade. Okay, so let's talk about trade. But before I do, I wanted to point out, like in the first little section of this video, I talked about seeds that you could use in a trade union to provide fertility. So there's a really nice example of that here. So here you see the trade union, and I have a grain seed item in here. It provides fertility to the surrounding area. You'll notice that I'm providing wheat here because I want to make beer out of it. So that's just a really nice way to provide fertility to an island that doesn't have it. And real quick, if you click on Madam Kahina, she's the one who has a lot of like the fertility stuff. You click on her items and she'll have all this stuff. Like if you see here, quality grain seeds equipped in trade union, gives you grain fertility provided. Like these are the game changers. These are the ones that you're going to want to buy for the islands that really don't have what you need. But that kind of leads me into what I was saying before, a couple minutes ago, is that, your beginning island isn't going to be everything you thought you wanted it to be, and you're going to have to create a trade route. So if you click on your routes here in the lower left-hand side of the screen, sorry if I'm going too fast, I don't mean to do that, but click on routes. And then you're going to go, let's just create a route. I'm going to create a route with one of my destroyers or one of my battle cruisers here. So you click create route, and you can do charter routes. I would do those in the beginning of the game. They're pretty simple. I'll show you one real quick. So you click on charter route, and it just has you create one. So you select the good you want to do. So for instance, I'll take sewing machines, and I'll select the pickup harbor. So I want to pick them up at my main harbor because that's where I'm making them at. And then select the destination harbor. So I'll click on Sub Rosa because that's my, kind of alternate island. So I clicked that, and then it'll have you set the amount. So I'll just set the amount to 20, and then you click charter, and it costs you, if you can see here, it says $50. So it's going to subtract that 50 from the greater amount in your finances, right here, your balance. But that's just the charter route. So let me show you how to do a route with one of your ships. So you click create route once again, you click trade route, then you're going to click the little plus here to add a ship. So you're determining here what ship you want to use. Clippers have 4 spots for goods. Cargo ships have 6 spots. And schooners have spots for, I think, just 2. So I'm going to click one of my clippers here just to add the ship. And then the trade route stations, you just click an island to add new station. So what I'm going to do here is click on Ironforge, and then click on Sabrosa. And then you're going to click here to load. If you mouse over, it'll say what you want to load. You load a certain good. So I'm going to load schnapps, for instance, and then unload the island here. So I'm clicking on Sabrosa to unload. So I unload there. And then what's going to do is pick it up, drop it off. If there's not enough goods there in Ironforge, it's going to just grab whatever it can. And then if the storage is too full where it's dropping off, it's just going to drop off what it can. Sometimes there'll be things left over on your ships, and I guess you can just kind of drop off those goods or just increase your storage, or, you know, whatever that would be. So you just click accept, and then the ship will just go about on its merry way, and it'll go on that route that you specified for it. So that's trade. I mean, you know, late game really starts to get tricky, and I consider late game to be, you know, engineers and up. But you start to add, you know, oil to your supply chain because you need that for electricity for engineers, and you start organizing all of that. It can be a real daunting task, and I hope that really helped with trade. You know, it should just kind of show you how to set up that supply chain, you know, get everything going that you really need, because trade is essential. I mean, you can't complete this game without it. Okay, so thanks for stopping by to watch my video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that it helped you to understand Anno 1800 just a little bit better. If it has helped you, let me know in the comments, and you can feel free to check out my Let's Plays and look forward to my future Anno 1800 gameplay. If you enjoy my content, I would appreciate a subscription or a like. It helps my little YouTube channel a lot. It's free for you, and YouTube is, I'll say it, it's my dream, and I just want to share my passion for gaming with the world. It really is something that's special to me. So until next time, see you on the next one.